Hi everybody, it's Laura. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Today I have a layout that I made using the Shimmerz November Color Kitz Collection. I wanted to use a die that I bought a while back. I purchased it and I never used it, and I do not like to do that. I like to get use out of the products that I buy. So I thought that I would try making a background of banners. So I purchased this Creek Bank Creations banner die. It's called Scrapbook Pennant 1996. And I had the idea of putting some big banners across the background of my layout. If you don't happen to have this banner and you wanted to create a background like this and you have a smaller banner die, you could simply attach several banner dies together or banner die cuts together and make a longer banner. And then I was trying to think, if you don't have any banner dies, you could stitch some lines on your background, and then you could attach some pieces of pattern paper that you cut into fishtails to it. But like I said, I really wanted to use this die. So I started off by cutting the large banners out of white. I cut 3 of them out of a 120-pound white cardstock. Then I selected 4 different patterns from the pattern paper in the kit, and I used that same die and I cut out a banner from each of those pattern papers. And then I cut my banners into smaller sections, and now I'm placing those smaller sections on each of the banners. I'm including all 4 of the different colors and patterns on each of the banners. And I slightly offset the pattern paper banners from the white banner behind it. That way there'd be a little bit of the white showing. I thought that would give the banner a little bit of dimension. Now I'm going to start working on my background. I used one of the same pattern papers that I used in the sections of my banners, and I gutted that paper. And then I took a piece of my mixed media paper, which is 120-pound smooth white cardstock, which has already been gessoed, and I trimmed it down a little bit, I trimmed it down now, and I'm going to arrange my banners on the background. I was thinking of putting some mixed media behind the banners, so right now I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want the banners to go. I thought the banners looked good like this. So I used my pencil and I drew a line on top of them. This is going to show me where I'm going to put my mixed media. And I don't know if you could see, but I moved each of the banners down just a little bit before I drew the pencil line. That way, when I put the banners back onto the layout, you won't see the pencil line. Sometimes the pencil line can be much more noticeable than I think it's going to be. So I always try to put the pencil lines in a place that I can hide. I'm starting off the mixed media background by using an Inklingz called Pink About It. And I'm using the packaging technique, putting a little bit of color onto the plastic and adding a little bit of water to help spread it around. Now, initially, I made the areas of color very thin, thinking that the banners aren't really so thick. But then I was thinking that it would probably be better if I had a little bit of the mixed media showing on top of the banner, through the banner, and then a little bit on the bottom of the banner. So you'll see as I go along, these strips of color get wider and wider. If you follow my channel, you probably noticed that I haven't been posting videos. In fact, I only had one other video this month. The reason for that is that I decided to take January and do some work on my house. I have a lot of things that have to be repaired and I need to do some painting. So I've been spending the month working on the bedrooms of our house. And I've also decided that for 2025, the only design team I'm going to be doing is the Shimmerz design team. I just really need to take a little bit more time for myself to take care of non-scrapbooking related endeavors. And I do plan on going back to having the same number of videos on my channel each month. As a matter of fact, I have some ideas for some new series and things that I want to show you on my channel. But I wanted to take a little bit of time because I really did need to catch up on some things that I have been neglecting. So I'm really hoping that in February, I'll be able to go back to my normal schedule and get a lot of videos out. I still have a lot of videos that I need to voice over and get up on my channel for you to watch. So after I use the packaging technique to add the Inklingz pink about it to my background, I added a whole bunch of pink splatters. And then I was thinking that I wanted to add some of the shimmers called Buddy's Favorite Color to my background, but I didn't want to add large areas. I decided to just add some splatters of it, and I really like the way that the red looked against the pink. And this background is different than a lot of the other mixed media backgrounds that I've made. I usually don't spread the mixed media all across the background in this manner. And I actually wasn't really sure how much I liked it at this point, but I decided to just keep on going. I was thinking that it would look nice if there was a little bit of green in between the red background that I have and then the white paper for the mixed media background. So I decided to put a piece of paper in between the two of them. So I cut this piece of scrap paper just a little bit larger than my mixed media background, and I'm just putting little pieces of the green that I wanted to use all around the edges. That way I won't use up too much paper. I actually don't have enough paper to use the whole paper for a background, and this is just a little trick that I use all the time, and it just helps me stretch my paper a little bit. So now I'm going to layer the red on the bottom and then this green, in quotes, paper on top of it. It's actually mostly blue, but you won't see that. And then on top of that, I'm going to layer the mixed media background that I just created. And I don't know if you noticed, but when I attach those green strips of paper down, I put 2 of them down as is. And then for 2 of the strips, I cut the corners at 45-degree angles, which I think gives the mat a finished look. I mean, you probably aren't going to be looking at the corners of the layout, but just in case you are, I like the idea of having the green paper look like a frame. So then I attach my mixed media background down. And then I decided that I wanted to add some snowflakes to the background. Now, normally when I am adding any kind of mixed media to the background, I'll do that before I attach my mixed media paper down to any other pattern papers that I'm going to use. But since I made this decision at the last moment, I had to just kind of go with it and just try to be careful not to get any of this paste onto any of the pattern papers. So I used an Echo Park stencil called Snowflakes number 2, and I'm holding it at an angle because I wanted the snowflakes to look a little bit more random. And then I mixed 3 different things together to create this paste. I have some golden regular gloss gel, and then I also have some Finnabair snowflake paste, and I added in a little bit of white paint as well. This is white acrylic paint. The snowflake paste was a little bit gritty, and that did make it a little more difficult to work with. The first few snowflakes that I made came out very crisp and clear, but then as I reused the stencil, I guess there was some buildup of this paste on my stencil, and some of the snowflakes started to look a little bit more fuzzy, and I didn't really like that. I guess I could have washed my stencil in between applications, but I think next time I'll just skip the snowflake paste and use that for a time when I'm using a stencil with larger openings or some other application. I just think that this was too detailed of a stencil to try to put something that was a little bit more coarse through. In the end, it really didn't matter that some of the snowflakes didn't look perfect. A lot of the imperfections got covered up by the banners, and you really just see little hints of the snowflakes across the layout in the final product. I am really glad that I added these snowflakes, though. I do think they make a nice finishing touch on the layout. Just add a little bit of texture and interest to the page. So now my background is dry. It took a while because some of the snowflakes were a little thick, so I had to step away from my page for a while. And now I'm using some glue to attach down the banners. Usually I use ATG adhesive, but I felt like I really needed to use glue because of the texture of the snowflakes in the background. The photos here are of my littlest dog, Rory. Rory was wearing a little outfit. I got it from a coworker, and it didn't fit her dog, and it fit Rory perfectly to a T, and I thought that the pom-poms on the back of it matched so nicely with the colors in this collection. And often I scrapbook older pictures, and these are pictures that I just took a couple of weeks ago, and I thought that because they went so well with the theme, the winter theme of the January collection, and also with the color scheme, they would be perfect. And another great thing about this particular kit is that there are a lot of images of dogs, so I was excited to work those in. And in the lower right hand corner there's a little dachshund, and we used to have a dog that looked just like that, so I really liked that, and so I wanted to include that on the page too. So I used a number of the die cuts to embellish the page. That included the title, which is Making Memories. I also included one of the dots from the collection. That's the snowflake. That's to the left of the lower photo. And how adorable is that little lineup of those little dogs at the top of the page? I just think that's so cute and goes so well with the subject of my photos. I also included some snowflake die cuts, a sentiment that says winter, some dog paw prints, and some trees. For the title, I put a little bit of heavy cardstock behind it before I popped it up on some foam. I'm just popping up the left-hand side because the right-hand side is sitting on top of the photo. For most of my layouts, I try to be careful not to spread embellishments across the page, but to put them in clusters. And I thought that was really important for this layout too, because the banners kind of serve as embellishments. So there's a lot going on, so that I knew that I wanted to have some kind of more defined clusters in this particular layout so that the embellishments would stand out from the banners. I hope that makes sense. So I have that die cut with all the dogs on it in the upper left hand corner along with the snowflake. And then I have another cluster to the left of the upper photo. It has the tree and the snowflake, the title and the dog print, and even the pink snowflake dots. That kind of works into that cluster as well, making it kind of a larger cluster. And then the cluster to the right-hand side of the upper photo moved around a little bit. First, I had it a little bit higher on the page, and then I made it a little bit lower on the page, and you'll see that I'm going to move it back up again to a little bit higher than the photo. And I think that cluster would have looked nice in either spot. I think what's key for me, or what I was keeping in mind as I place the elements in that cluster, was that I didn't want to have the two trees at the same level. I wanted one of them to be a little taller or a little bit higher up on the page, and the other one to be a little lower on the page. I think that makes the page look a little bit more interesting. Now I added some foam behind the photo at the top just to pop it up a little bit, give it a little bit of dimension. I also put some foam behind the dots, and I put foam behind that sentiment that says winter, just to give a couple of the elements a little bit of extra emphasis. Now included in the kit were these awesome puffy stickers, and I loved the images, and then when I took them out of the package, I realized that there were 2 layers of them, so there are lots and lots of trees and little snowflakes and branches. So I incorporated some of the snowflakes in the background. I ended up taking these snowflakes off of the background. I just was afraid that there were too many things scattered all around the background. I don't think they look bad now that I'm looking at the layout, but I ended up using those same snowflakes in a different way on the layout. And I also really liked the branches that were part of the puffy sticker pack, so I have 1 branch in each of those 3 main clusters. Now I'm adding some photo corners to my layouts. That's just something that I do on all my layouts. I just really love the way it looks, and I like the way I can add another color to my photos if I want to. So I picked the green color that I have as the mat around the outside of the layout, and I use that color for my photo corners. And then I had a whole bunch of pearls, and I thought it would look really nice if the banner sections were separated by these pearls. This is a size that I don't use a lot. I tend to use the really tiny ones, so I was really happy that I found an application for this size pearl. I also used some very tiny green pearls and put them on each of my photo corners. I wanted to add a little something to the snowflakes, so I used some rhinestone type jewels for the centers of all of the snowflakes on the page. And then I layered some of the small rhinestone jewels on top of those puffy snowflakes, and I used those in a couple of different places on the page. I put one on the top of each of the two trees. I put one on the top of the dog that's all the way on the right-hand side of the die cut on the top of his little hat. And I also put one on the sentiment that says winter. And then to decorate the trees, I added some rhinestone jewels and also some little teeny tiny puffy hearts from the sticker sheet. There were a number of different colors on the sticker sheet, so I decided that I would use a variety of those on the trees. And I found that using this little pokey tool really helped me to get those really small embellishments exactly where I wanted them. I was having a little bit of trouble positioning them. I realized that I needed to add one more branch to the cluster at the top, and this completes the layout. When you place your order with Shimmerz Paints, please don't forget to use my name in the comments to receive a free gift. To check out the January kit, you can take a look in the description box where you'll find a direct link to the Color Kitz Collection. And there's also a link if you're interested in purchasing a subscription to the Color Kitz Collection. So thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry that I haven't been around lately, but I hope to be back again next month. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.